Hello, friends. Thanks for joining the Startup First podcast today. My guest today is Mihir Mohan. He is the founder and CEO of Autoverse Mobility, which the company that he started about 10 months ago. He's a BTech from IIT Kanpur, and prior to that, he studied at the India School. He's a multiple time founder, and we will be talking about that. He is originally from Bihar, Darbhanga. So, welcome to the show, Mihir.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. It's a privilege to be here, and I would love to talk about my experience and see if there's something which rings well with a lot of people, and would love to share anything openly with you. And I look up to this conversation.
Okay, thank you so much, Mihir, for giving me the time. Mihir is an entrepreneur, an underdog, and term yogi who has 20 plus years of experience. So let's talk about why did you put the word, underdog on your LinkedIn?
Right. So I think, I have been a startup guy all my life and have worked on quite a few projects. Even while I was working in corporate, I used to lead the entrepreneurship teams there, working on newer projects because that is something which always excited me to take something right from scratch and build it completely. Right. And over, let's say, 23 years of experience that I have now, I have seen failure very closely. And when you hear about startups, you probably hear about a lot of successful startups, right? The unicorns and top 120, top 130 people, etc. Right? But behind those or after those unicorns, there are corpses of almost 99% startups which fail. So I've seen that journey multiple number of times, and I think I wear that on my sleeve, and those are all stepping stones to where we are right now. So that underdog word came from there. That all of us in our lives, in general, learn from wherever we are, and we keep setting a bar higher for us, and we keep moving forward. But that underdog feeling is what keeps me alive from that perspective.
Okay, let's talk about your early life, Bihar, Darbhanga, to when 1990s.
Right.
So how was it? And starting your journey from there, and then your journey going to this India school, which is one of the top, school in India. How was that journey? It must be a big gap from what you
Right.
learned and your life in Bihar, Darbhanga, and from
Right.
there
Right.
to this India school. Take us to that.
Absolutely, sir. I mean, we used to live two lives then, right? The Bihar of that point of time, which is late 80s, early 90s, right, where I grew up. I mean, the whole family was into education. My father is a very renowned physics professor there. And we all just knew one thing, which was to study hard. And that always felt a way to make out of the environment that we were in, but we were happy. I mean, in that environment, it was very homely and with every sibling, etc. But eventually, like all the other districts of Bihar, after class 5, boys have very limited option. You will have convent schools which actually take you up, but take the girls up to class 10th, and then they are left at large. लेकिन लड़कों के लिए वो शायद class 5 के बाद ही हो जाता था. तो 5th class तक convent school में पढ़ा with all my sisters. Was the youngest child in the family, very very pampered, और इकलौता बेटा था. तो उस केस में तो बहुत ही ज्यादा pampered था, right? And then after class 5 there was no school. So पापा ने बहुत सारे prospectus दिखाए. It looked so fancy, हमने कभी देखा नहीं था. मतलब जो बिहार की दुनिया थी बहुत different थी. लाइट नहीं आता था या बिजली नहीं होती थी, right? या
Right.
बहुत सारी दिक्कतें थी जो तब समझ में नहीं आती थी. When I went to Scindia in class 6, तब जाके लगा कि अच्छा 24 घंटे बिजली एक बहुत आम बात है, right? या पानी आना या ये सारी चीजें बहुत आम बात है. एंड वहां पे शायद जो बिहार में हमने स्ट्रगल देखा, दैट हेल्प क्वाइट अ लॉट टू अडॉप्ट देयर वेरी फास्ट, क्योंकि हम लोग कभी परटर्ब होते ही नहीं थे. मतलब हॉस्टल में अगर 1 घंटे भी लाइट चली जाती थी गलती से ग्वालियर में, राइट, तो लोग वहां पे बहुत परेशान होते थे कि यार यहाँ पे लाइट नहीं है, और हमें लगता था कि यार ये तो तुम आओ बिहार आओ. एंड वी यूज्ड टू हैव 8 month ऑफ एजुकेशन व्हिच इज इन 2 सेमेस्टर्स. बीच में 4 महीने की, 3 महीने और 1 महीने की छुट्टी होती थी. और जब भी हम लोग घर वापस जाते थे तो एक बहुत ही डिफरेंट लाइफ थी, जहाँ शाम में 6 बजे के बाद अंधेरा था. हम लोग लालटेन में एक्चुअली पढ़ते थे, राइट. और कुछ टाइम के बाद ये भी होता था कि हाँ ट्रांसफार्मर उड़ गया, मतलब 1 महीने तक लाइट नहीं आ रही है. तो माय मदर शी यूज्ड टू फील वेरी बैड कि ये सिंधिया स्कूल जाता है, वहां पे बहुत अलग सा रहता है, और यहाँ पे आके पानी ढो रहे हैं, मोटर चला रहे हैं, मोटर जब भी ऐसा मौका आता था. तो आई थिंक वो एक डिफरेंस था. तो लेकिन उसका फायदा ये था सर कि बिहार में हमारे पास करने के लिए पढ़ाई के अलावा कुछ काम था नहीं. देयर वाज नो रिक्रिएशन. यूज्ड टू हैंग आउट विद फ्रेंड्स, क्रिकेट खेलते थे शाम में या सुबह जब भी मौका मिलता था. अदरवाइज तो सिर्फ पढ़ाई थी, राइट. तो हम लोग पढ़ते बहुत थे. तो जनरली कोशिश यही रहती थी कि पूरा सिलेबस, अगर मैं क्लास 8 में जा रहा हूँ तो 8th क्लास की छुट्टी से पहले ही सारा सिलेबस तभी एकदम खत्म कर दो, और क्लास में स्कूल में जाके एकदम कुछ भी एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर करो। तो
Mhm.
स्कूल ने एक्चुअली बहुत कॉन्फिडेंस दिया इन एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर एक्टिविटीज। आई यूज्ड टू
Right.
प्ले ऑलमोस्ट ऑल द गेम्स, आई वाज क्विज कैप्टन, राइट, आई रिप्रेजेंटेड स्कूल इन नंबर ऑफ डिबेट्स, एलोक्यूशन। तो आई थिंक सिंधिया स्कूल इन सबका मेन एडवांटेज ये था दैट इट डेवलप्ड यू इन अ कंप्लीट वे। आई वाज स्कूल प्रीफेक्ट ऑफ माय हाउस, राइट, एंड देन गेम्स में रिप्रेजेंट किया, तो वो एक अलग एक्सपोजर था। वाइल देयर वाज अ डाइकोटोमी इन हाउ वी लिव, लेकिन स्कूल का एक्सपोजर बहुत अलग था, घर का बहुत अलग था। आई थिंक बोथ ऑफ दीज थिंग्स वर्क टुगेदर फ्रॉम दैट फॉर्मेट। इट वाज फन टाइम, बहुत मजा आया था। मतलब वो टाइम तो ऑफ कोर्स सबके बचपन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है। वी हैड अ
Right.
स्पेशल बचपन फ्रॉम दैट
Yeah.
पर्सपेक्टिव।
So I have very similar similarities between you and I. Uh, Maybe I'm a couple of years older than you in education as well as in age. Same family, middle class family. My father was in a government job. He was the state entomologist, which was a single person job in Bihar. And my mother was a professor of sociology, and then she became the principal of Mother Mehla College. So very education oriented. I was the only son in the family. I have two elder sisters, so very pampered, very pampered. Just think of it, Mihir, and you will relate to it. If there was a crime happening in Bhagalpur, my mother will get a call in Patna that आंसू को बाहर मत जाने दीजिए, crime बढ़ गया. That kind of
Absolutely, sir. Ekdam, ekdam, ekdam. We have lived through it. Yes, yes, yes.
that, and then when you were telling your early life story, I was relating to it. When we were in class 5 6 at Sindhiville in Patna, बत्ती जाती थी और फिर हम लोग एनसीसी का मोटा वाला मोजा पहनते थे so that कि मच्छर उसको घुस के नहीं काटे.
Right, right.
And then our sea change was when some lamps came from China, जिसकी टोटी लंबी ऐसी होती थी and it used to give more light.
More light, right, right,
उसके
right.
पहले तो लालटेन था. पेट्रोमैक्स हम लोग
Yes.
यूज नहीं करते थे उस तरीके, छोटे पेट्रोमैक्स उस समय आते भी नहीं.
आते भी नहीं थे, और गैस वाले नहीं आते थे उस टाइम पे।
नहीं, उस समय गैस वाले नहीं आते
Nice.
थे. We used to go and take go to the local shop and get kerosene. But there was no concept of geyser. We used to पानी को गर्म किया जाता था पतीले में.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
बाटी में with
Right.
अमरूद की लकड़ी चाहे आम की लकड़ी जो भी वहाँ पे मिल रहा है उससे, और फिर जला
Yes.
हुआ कोयला
Yes.
वो लगा. So we're very different, but today when I look back, I
Right.
feel so happy about it. How fulfilling
Absolutely.
our life.
Absolutely.
There were no divisions, caste, social
Right.
status. Everybody was
Right.
playing in the same ground,
Right.
be
Right.
it in the
Right.
school or be it in mahalla. So it was
Right.
very different. And that has given us some very different kind of mindset also, that we look at things today. When you are
Right.
in Bangalore, I'm here in Los Angeles. But kahin na kahin, wo initial days are still with us, and that is what is
Absolutely.
keeping us alive. So very.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so India School, again a top-notch school, and you were a prefect, you were a house captain, you represented the school in various sports and everything. You are also a avid cricket player, and I know India School, they will have everything from horse riding
Right.
to polo
Right.
to swimming to
Right.
what took you to cricket.
So cricket was the charm for every youngster, right? And it was very fascinating. And being in Scindia, उस time पे श्रीमंत माधवराव सिंधिया वो थे BCCI के chairman, and a well-built stadium was there. तो हम लोग को बहुत privilege मिलता था to go there and watch matches. India West Indies World Cup match था. That is what we went. West Indies team came to our school for a cricket clinic, right? And sports से generally fascination था, and cricket came naturally. उसके साथ hockey, football भी मैं खेलता था उस time पे, लेकिन cricket में थोड़ा ज्यादा इंटरेस्ट था. फिर वहां पे ये हुआ दैट वी वर सेलेक्टेड टू विजिट LNIP, व्हिच वाज द फिजिकल एजुकेशन ग्राउंड. हम लोग 3 लोग थे जो स्कूल से सेलेक्ट हुए थे टू प्ले फर्दर. लेकिन वहां पे एक दिन मेरे कोच जो थे उन्होंने मेरे से पूछा कि यू नीड टू हैव अ किट. तो उन्होंने एक ग्रे निकल्स का किट बोला था, व्हिच कॉस्टेड दैट टाइम अराउंड 2.5 2.6 lakhs. सो दैट इज व्हेन आई एक्चुअली बैक्ड आउट फ्रॉम क्रिकेट, क्योंकि मेरे को लगा कि पापा वैसे ही एक प्रोफेसर एंड ही वाज बेयरिंग ऑल द कॉस्ट फॉर सिंधिया, व्हिच इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट एक्सपेंसिव स्कूल्स.
Yeah,
मेरे को
yeah.
लगा कि यार इसके बिना भी जिंदगी चल सकती है. आई केप्ट प्लेइंग फॉर द स्कूल एंड द हाउस. लेकिन फन टाइम था. मतलब स्पोर्ट्स इज व्हाट आई बिलीव अ लॉट इन, क्योंकि वो आपको बहुत सारी चीजें सिखाता है. जो टीम
Mhm.
स्पिरिट है ट्रूली सेंस में वो स्पोर्ट्स में ही आती है. जो हाउस का फीलिंग है, या एक आइडेंटिटी है ऑफ अ कॉमन बिलोंगिंगनेस, चाहे वो बिहार की आइडेंटिटी हो या दरभंगा की आइडेंटिटी हो, राइट. एंड it comes more and more open when you engage in sports from that perspective. So that is something which I have carried all my life, and I believe a lot. In fact, आज के दिन में भी मैं थोड़ा extrapolate debate कर रहा हूँ, लेकिन hiring वायरिंग में हम sports को बहुत तवज्जुह देते हैं. People who play any sport for me are better higher than people who don't play from that perspective. तो वो
Yeah,
एक
yeah.
fascination था सर.
Absolutely, and the healthy competition when the house captain. I remember my St. Louis school days, and I was in the
Right.
school team also. Lions, Panthers, Tigers. So we are friends. We are from the same grade, two or three sections. But when we are in the ground, we are so competitive with each other.
Yes, yes,
But it was
yes,
so healthy. It was not
absolutely.
negative competition at all. So, you are right. When you start your
Right, right,
business, you think for those
right,
qualities and, you bring those experiences that you
right,
had in the sports field,
right,
in the real
right.
world of entrepreneurship and business learning and, all those things. It also gives you compassion because, if there is a cricket
Absolutely.
match, somebody is going to be a winner, somebody is going to be a loser
Going to
for
be
that,
loser. Right, right,
right?
right.
So how
Absolutely.
to take it up, how to re-energize yourself and jump
Right,
back into it. Same thing
right,
you
right,
did in
right.
the business. You were working
Yeah,
on a deal for the last 30 days.
right,
It was a big contract and somebody else took it.
right,
Now
right,
what are the learnings from that? And then
right,
how you turn yourself around and look at a
right,
new
right.
path. I mean, so after Sindhya school, you went to IIT. When did you decide that you should be doing a BTech? And what was the
So
preparation
that
like?
in yeah, so in that generation, I think that was not decided by us. It was decided in general, right? And doctor and engineering were the only two choices. My personal favorite was to get into St. Stephen's, do economics honors, right? But my father said that nahi, doctor, engineer, wahi hai. And now I
Mhm.
look back, तो शायद वो सही decision था. I think I would probably match the expectations here. तो शुरू से ही था. पापा एक बहुत पहले किताब छोड़ गए थे, अरुण साहेटी. When my sister was, elder sister was preparing. That was way back when I was only 9 years old. तो तब से एक fascination था कि हाँ IIT जाना है, वहाँ पे पढ़ना है. तो after Sindhya school, people from my school don't go to IITs क्योंकि सबका एक अलग-अलग interest है. They are from industrialist background, etc. So our batch had actually two, three people who went to IIT, right? And we started preparing. I had to take a drop year, was in Delhi in 97, 98, and then went for BTech. First choice वहाँ पे Delhi जाने का था, but eventually landed up in Kanpur for mechanical. So it was not a
Mhm.
choice in general. It was generally, but I feel happy about it that I landed up and my father chose that journey for me, and I feel
Mhm.
good about it.
Cool. Are you in touch with all your friends? And because the IT LM group is so big,
Right,
and
right, right.
they are doing a large event here called Pan IT. It
Yes,
is a worldwide event happening in April of 2025, and they have
that's right.
started April of 2026. I'm sorry.
26.
And
Right, right, right,
yeah, they have started preparing for it. It is going to happen here in Los Angeles.
right, right, right,
And they are expecting over 3,000 Italians to come
right.
and
That's
attend
right.
the event.
That's
So,
right.
I hope to see you there when you make
Absolutely.
your US
Yeah,
trip
yeah.
next year to attend
Right, sir.
the IIT
Yes.
event. So,
Right.
how was the life at IIT and, what did it teach you into
See,
entrepreneurship?
right, sir. I think one of the key things when I look back at IT education was that you get a shock when you land there because everybody is a topper in their schools. They have been pampered in their schools, and they come from different background. मैं दरभंगा से था, कुछ लोग बदायूं से थे, कुछ लोग चूरू से थे, झुंझुनू से थे, सवाई माधोपुर से थे. तो एक बहुत बड़ा एक इंडिया वहां पे बसता था, right? And all of us came from very diverse background. People who came from a boarding school like me, people who had never spoken in English, they also came there, right? And a
Hmm.
lot of brilliant people also came. I mean, my roommate, he was ranked 33, and his conversation in a week's time actually changed my course of action at IT. क्योंकि वो बातें कर रहे थे कि मैं इंटरनेशनल ओलंपियाड में गोल्ड मेडलिस्ट हूँ, सिल्वर मेडलिस्ट हूँ, और हमें लगता था कि यार हमने स्पोर्ट्स के अलावा कहीं पे मेडल जीता ही नहीं है, मतलब ये कौन सा ओलंपियाड है, right? And I think I had a very early, or at least moment in IT where I decided here I have to differentiate, and that's what IT culture pushes you कि आपको अपना एक आइडेंटिटी बनाना होता है, right? And सब लोग किसी न किसी एरिया में बहुत अच्छे हैं. तो एकेडमिक्स मेरे को बहुत पहले ही समझ में आ गया कि that is not my cup of tea, and I would not probably make it. I just had to barely pass. Sports and politics is what I did at IIT, and my batchmates and people, senior, junior, would know. And one thing which I did most in IT was play hockey. And I played for 3 years. We used to play almost 6 to 7 hours daily, right? क्योंकि वो स्कूल का एक बैकग्राउंड था, हम लोग इंटर आईटी में जाते थे, एंड आईटी कानपुर यूज्ड टू कम फिफ्थ आउट ऑफ ऑल द 5 आईआईटीज. तो फर्स्ट ईयर हमको बहुत बुरा लगा कि यार ऐसे कैसे हम हार जाते हैं. तो सेकेंड ईयर से वी स्टार्टेड बिल्डिंग अ हॉकी टीम, राइट? एंड बिकॉज हॉकी इज व्हाट आई वाज प्लेइंग इन सिंधिया एज वेल. पूरे अपने
Yeah.
विंगमेट्स की टीम बनाई, सारे लोग आए, एंड वी वेंट ऑन टू बिकम गोल्ड मेडलिस्ट इन इंटर आईटी इन फोर्थ ईयर. हमने एक इंटरनेशनल कोच भी हायर किया था. वी वर एग्जेम्प्टेड फ्रॉम लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स कि आप
Wow.
बस प्रैक्टिस करो. तो अगर मैं
Mm.
आईटी को सम अप करूं तो आई डिड प्ले only hockey at that point of time. So I think that is again sports became a very valuable part for me. Built a team of underdogs who had never played hockey. हम लोग 3 लोग थे बोर्डिंग स्कूल के. एक सैनिक स्कूल तलैया का था, एक सैनिक स्कूल घोड़ाखाल का था, और एक मैं था. हम 3 हॉकी खेलते थे, और बाकी 8 लोगों ने शायद कभी हॉकी स्टिक पकड़ा नहीं था. तो हम
Wow.
उनको हमने सिखाया एक साल. And we went to win quite a few championship in UP, Delhi University, BITS Pilani, ITBHU campus. And that's what I did. इसके अलावा उस टाइम पे एक बिजनेस प्लान कंपटीशन शुरू हुआ था. IIT Kanpur hosted first competition called Mega Bucks, which was 1.5 lakh rupees award was there. And me and couple of my friends, we participated. We won that competition. उसमें जो कंपनी का नाम था, that was called Pied Piper, and we were into mechatronics. We were trying to bring Lego to a version where it is more cheaper for Indian kids to adopt. And we had a brilliant guy in our team, Professor Manu Prakash. He's currently in Stanford. He leads Prakash Labs. He was one of member, and the other 2 members, Vinay Ponus, Gaurav Sharma. It was a good introduction to business plan, entrepreneurship in general. We won. Then we also went to represent India in national business plan competition held by NUS Singapore. Uh,
Okay.
the same team, same concept, which was after our fourth year. तो वो एक पहला ये था कि हाँ खुद से अपना काम करना है. वहां से शायद वो शुरू हुआ था कि
Right.
अपना एक इंडिपेंडेंस हो. That's where entrepreneurship began for me, sir.
Mhm. So now let's go to September of 2011 when you started your first startup for delightful international kids wear for trendy kids and choosy parents. How
Right.
did that happen?
Right. So it actually happened in serendipity, and I was actually reeling from one of my earlier startups, which was called Nnet, which was into
Mhm.
a technology-based solution for supply chain. And in that startup, I had invested quite a good amount of money. Was under a lot of debt, right? Or Mirko abruptly I had to leave that because I could not invest more and more time and money into that. And I had my friends join in. They still run that company. I was reeling from that failure, and that is when I was looking at consulting assignments and gigs. I landed up working with Angel Prime, which is Prime Ventures right now, and then they offered me this position of CTO in Unamia to build the entire commerce platform, right? Which was to make kids wear. So I played my part of building the technology platform. There was a CEO, Jyotsna, she was there. She was a Stanford grad, and there was Devashish, who was from NIFT. So he was the one who was designing clothes. It was again a very different experience, but I played my realm of technology there to build the commerce platform.
Very nice, very nice. So from there to Zip Dial Mobile Solutions Private Limited in April. So
Right.
talk a little bit about that.
Right. So again, I mean, in case of Unamia, what happened was that we could not raise funding after we raised our first round from Bloom and Angel Prime. Almost $1.2 million we had raised, and so we returned that money back. I actually worked with our investor to shut down the company, wind up, right? And then again, I was looking at consulting gigs, and one of the founders of Zipdial, Amia, was IT Kanpur senior. I worked with him as a consultant, and there we built an application which integrated Twitter with Zipdial, that anybody could subscribe to Prime Minister Modi's tweet at that point of time in 2014, when data pack was very expensive. SMS was the cheapest thing. So you could actually send a message and subscribe to Modi ji's speech or tweets. And
Okay.
we built that entire application. Within a week or 2 weeks' time, we had 1 million followers. We tried the same thing with Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan, and that became a great strategy for Twitter to acquire users, and eventually Twitter acquired Zipline.
Wow. Okay, so one learning here that I just heard from you, Mihir,
Right,
for the upcoming entrepreneurs, in the delightful international kids wear for trendy kids. Think of
right,
it. The CEO is from Stanford.
right, right,
Mihir is the CTO, who is from
right,
IIT. Still could not raise funds.
right,
So
right,
when it comes to raising funds, yeah, who is behind it is very, very important, but so is the idea what they are working on and what
right,
they have built so far. I
right.
believe when
Absolutely.
the combination of these three, or at
Right,
least a master stroke in at least two of these, then only you get funding. The
right,
idea has to be good, the tap has to be big, and then
right.
you should have shown some demonstrable results. Then only
Absolutely,
an investor is going to invest in.
absolutely, absolutely.
So this is my learning from the statement that you made. What do
Right,
you think
right,
about it? I can I can just visualize that was CEO from Stanford, CTO from IIT, pitching
right,
to various angel groups, not getting
right.
funding. How was that moment like?
Uh, yeah, I think now when I look back, I think the team, the founding team, etc., right, the cohesion of the founding team, right, the ability to understand each other, that probably plays a lot of role more than the pedigree itself. That's what I have come to believe. Right? For example, while we all had pedigrees, but we all had our own idiosyncrasies and nuances as well. Right? So a lot of times to work and execute, you need to have that cohesion. So now when I look back, probably that thing was missing. Devashish was from NIFT, and he was a very super guy, and he's known in the retail industry for designing fashionable clothes. Right? So we all had right kind of
Yeah,
pedigrees, but we all had different kind of mindsets. So for me, I mean, when you said that a start of funding, first thing begins here, that you need to have that cohesive team where you can fill up for each other. You are so conversant or so knowledgeable about each other कि आप उसके behalf में कुछ भी कर सकते हो, वो आपके behalf में कुछ भी कर सकता है. या अगर नहीं भी करना है, डिसीजन ले सकता है कि यार मिहिर ऐसा सोचता है, तो ठीक है, मिहिर इसको अग्री करेगा. Because a lot of times that kind of role play is required in the organization. So
yeah,
team for me has been one of the most pivotal uh, learnings in my own startup journey. ये सारी चीजें
right.
begin वहीं से होती हैं. Then other things come into picture.
Such a great learning from an early days. Pit stop, car care convenience.
Right,
So from baby wear to coming to
right,
a completely automotive world, which is a behemoth in itself. How did that transition help, and what made
right,
you interested in that kind of a business?
right. So the common thread was technology. I mean, I always felt that coding technology, it changes world. Even simplest of application, it has a potential, and now though it has much more because of AI and all those things which are happening in Silicon Valley, China as well. Right? It can dramatically change the outcomes for any business individual. I think that was the common thread. After Zipdial experience, I was very confident and I had built a product. I started building a messaging platform which allowed customers to buy any kind of parts, any kind of service from a business. It was typically two-way communication exchange platform, and the model or the domain what we chose there was automotive. हमको लगा कि ऑटोमोटिव में द ट्रांजैक्शंस आर वेरी ओपेक. व्हेन यू गो टू अ डीलरशिप, आपको एक अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस नहीं मिलता है, ट्रांसपेरेंट नहीं होता है, तो क्या वहां पे हम टेक्नोलॉजी यूज कर सकते हैं टू प्रोवाइड अ वेरी सीमलेस एक्सपीरियंस. So that's where my tryst with automotive began, and it has been a one-way journey. और आज के दिन में अगर मैं लुक बैक करूं तो मैं उसको ऐसे देखता हूँ कि द मोर यू गो डीपर इन एनी डोमेन, आपको बहुत सारे इंसाइट्स आते जाते हैं. एट द सेम टाइम आप इमोशनली भी अटैच होते जाते हो टू द प्रॉब्लम्स दैट यू ट्राइंग टू सॉल्व. So it's been almost 10 years for me in that domain, but switch happened primarily because of technology which I was working on.
So on this one, you had an exit. Why did you leave it in June of 2024?
See, I think pit stop was a different journey altogether, and where I could see a complete business shaping up. It was solving a very large problem. which is of providing transparency, convenience to end customers while they get their car service done. But it was a business which required capital perpetually, क्योंकि हम लोग एक वैसी problem solve कर रहे थे जहाँ पे the frequency of purchase was lower, right? The brand recall is what was required. So we had to invest a significant amount of money on branding, and it was very experiential, which is car service आपकी सबसे अनमोल चीज है after house, right? And you're very careful about it. तो उसकी servicing का जिम्मा हम ले रहे थे, which in itself was a huge ask. So we had built tech, we had teams which used to support garages, which used to support customers. It required a lot more funding. We could not raise funding in the 2022-23 timeframe, and that's when we had to shut down the company. But the belief in this domain was very, very strong, and that is where this whole company converted to Autoverse as it is right now. We did all the right things to make sure that there is a new structure, and we move forward to it. There were a number of reasons, and that was a phase of immense learning for me, because हम हमेशा success की बातें करते हैं, लेकिन जब failure होता है तो nobody talks about it, and the repercussion of failure, especially in a startup, right? Not a lot of people talk about it, right? So वो I went through in 2022-23 kind of time frame, right? And from there we have come out and we are building a new business here, and now you can relate that. That's why I call myself an underdog. कि हमारा अभी मतलब चल रहा है, मतलब we have a role to play and make our own story from here.
Okay, let's talk about Autoverse Mobility. What it is doing, how it is different from your competition who are there in the market, what you have achieved so far in the city of Bangalore, and where do you want to be in the next couple of years?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll first delve into the problem statement. Right. And
Yes.
the problem statement is that multi-brand garages, which form the backbone of mobility, these are mechanics, service advisors, and large number of small and medium entrepreneurs who set up multi-brand garage shop, which serves any car from, let's say, a Nano, Maruti, Hyundai to Mercedes-Benz, right? And they never had a level playing field to compete with authorized dealership, meaning which they were restricted in terms of part access. Number one, they were restricted in terms of process, training, etc. Right? Over time, I think those things have changed. So in Autoverse, we have taken responsibility of providing genuine parts to these multi-brand garages. So in Pit Stop Avatar, while we were doing a service for an end customer, we used to do two things. One, provide customers to garages. At the same time, to serve that car, provide parts to garages. Right? But then parts business had not developed very significantly in those years, given the experiential nature of service and the amount of resources that it required at every point of time. Right? So in Autoverse, we focus on timely delivery of parts. आप एक customer हैं, आप जब भी garage जाते हैं, you need your cars faster back to you. But at the same
Yeah.
time, you need genuine parts. Right? So those two are unmet need. Right? And that is what we solve at Autoverse. We work with local mechanics, garages, right, who are evolving, mushrooming in every part of the country. The larger opportunity is sir, वो ये है that there are more old cars in the ecosystem. There was a recent article which said that for every one new car, there is 1.7 old car which is changing hands. And whenever there is more old cars in the system, they prefer a more affordable and convenient mechanic who can service his car in the post-warranty phase. And that is what is triggering the growth in multi-brand garages. And that too got triggered primarily after the COVID lockdown, because then personal mobility became more and more prominent. Otherwise, people were talking about shared mobility, Ola, Uber, but now
Right.
people talk about personal mobility. So that's the opportunity. We provide timely availability of parts. We today work in Bangalore, and we work with almost 275 plus garages and provide them all kind of parts, right from bolt to bumper, because that is where the problem lies. That people do sell these garages, let's say a lubricant or a fast-moving consumable, but that's not his problem. He is unable to serve wherever there is a genuine part or a fitment requirement, right? And that is where he loses out to let's say authorized dealership. वहाँ पे हमने एक catalog बनाया which helps him identify the right part, right? And based on that part, he's able to source it from us, and we cater from Maruti to Mercedes, as I said, from bolt to bumper. So we are becoming that one-stop shop for that multi-brand garage. So पहले हम service भी provide करते थे garage को, which were driving customers. Now we don't do that. We do only parts, which is enabling him to serve customers better, so that he can organically get more and more customers. His retention is much higher from that perspective. So that's the business that we are in.
So how do you procure those parts? For example, you are talking about the genuine parts, and generally here in the US also, if you are looking for genuine part, many a times you go to the dealership because
Right.
you don't believe that a garage in your neighborhood might be able to procure it in time and everything. So
Right.
you are
Absolutely.
certainly, and if you go to a genuine motor part store or to the dealership, the charges are humongous. So
Right.
from where are you procuring the part, and how the unit economics?
Absolutely. So there are three primary sources of parts. I mean, one is the OEM, which is the car manufacturer, the
Yeah.
Maruti, Hyundai's. So what happened in this domain in 2015? There was a ruling from Competition Commission which mandated all of these car manufacturers to keep the parts over the counter, where as a customer I can go buy part, whereas a retailer I can go and buy parts from them, or as a garage I can go and buy parts. A lot of them have complied to it. At the same time, a lot of them have also set up their own distribution. For example, Maruti has a wide distribution of parts, right? So
Hmm.
that's one category of part that we provide from their authorized distribution channel, which is a standalone distributor working for Maruti, Hyundai. In case of Hyundai, there is Hyundai Mobis. Similarly, in Volkswagen, there is an authorized dealership who provides us those parts. Right? Now, there is a second category of parts, which is where the business is growing, right? And these are the actual part manufacturers. For example, Maruti doesn't manufacture brake pads. Bosch manufactures, or let's say, Brakes India manufactures. So now we are reaching out directly to Brakes India, or let's say Bosch, or let's say Rane, who have been tier one supplier to Maruti, right? So instead of taking from Maruti, we take from them. And that is where the excitement and opportunity is all around. Because for all of these part manufacturers, this domestic aftermarket, what we call, which is multi-brand garages, form an alternative large market. The size of this market is almost around $6.8 billion for cars only. Overall, if you look at it, it's around $11 billion, and it's the fastest growing segment in the whole component manufacturing business, more than the export aftermarket itself. Right. So we buy the parts directly from, let's say, a Bosch or a Schaeffler or a Hella or let's say a Value, and their original distribution. So we ensure that there is genuine parts in both these cases, because these are
Hmm.
high quality manufacturers. So we have curated a list of 40, 45 manufacturers, and we are approaching them directly. And a lot of these manufacturers did not have access to aftermarket. They had their parallel channel which they had set to distributor, to retailer, and to garages. We are disintermediating that entire chain. We are saying that to all these manufacturers, you will get direct access to customers who are garages. In our case, in India, as you would know, that there is no do-it-yourself segment. It's very low. People don't know about oil change, so it's mostly do it for me, which is mechanics who act on your behalf. They are mostly the influencer in 90-95% of cases, barring
Yeah.
tires, batteries, and in some cases lubricant. Right. So we connect the manufacturers, which is likes of Bosch, Shell, Hella, etc., to the garages. So that's the second kind of parts. The third part is the private label or contract manufacturing, or our own vision of manufacturing. For example, something like lubricant, right, where there's a standard process, there's a standard which is defined, either controlled by the European Commission or controlled by American Petroleum Institute. Right, there's a grades. So we have started manufacturing those as well. So these are three primary sources of our parts. Total TAM $6.8 billion. Car park is growing in India, sir. Today, India has 41 million cars. India was adding 2 million cars in 2015. Now it is adding 4 million cars every year. And according to International Energy Association, by 2035, India would have 270 million to 300 million cars. Right. So which means there is almost 7 to 7.5x jump from where we are right now. And that's where there's an urgency to push towards sustainable ecosystem, right? That's where there's a push towards EV, or for example hydrogen, for example your hybrid cars, right, or solar powered, right? Because
Hmm.
that energy requirement of 300 million cars, India may not have it in terms of fossil fuels, or it will actually impact the environment in a very negative way. So it's a very growing market, and multi-brand garages form the backbone of it. And one thing, I mean, which we believe, or personally I believe, is that mechanics are one of the most hardworking people in the entire domain, right?
Yeah.
And they go under any kind of environment, go under the car, work in very insecure or unsafe environment, right? But they do not have a leeway to make money, right? Maximum money that he can make, let's say in Indian terms, is 25,000, 30,000 rupees, right? I'm a mechanical engineer from IT Kanpur. That guy, he knows 1,000 times more engineering than me. He actually fixes the car. He knows about every motion. So I think over time, working in this domain for 10 years, I see also my life calling to make a level playing ground for them so they can upgrade their life. Right? And I've been a big proponent of having health insurance, PF, ESI, which is very standard in organized industries like software, but it's not there in
Hmm.
automotive. So I think from that perspective, we see a large pool which can, whose life can be upgraded by what we do, by empowering them, by providing right kind of parts, which is core to their business, which also helps them make more money, which helps us build business. At the same time, provide a level playing field is what we want to do. So.
Yeah, so Autoverse has a social cost associated to it also,
Mhm.
and really,
Yeah.
I could see the passion when you were talking about it. So all the best to you for that.
Thank you, sir.
How you're going to 275 garages you are servicing right now, just in Bangalore, and I
Right.
feel that there. got to be 1,000 garages in Bangalore, if not more.
right, 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 right.
Pan India, how you are going to explode?
Right, right. So again, I think this is also learning from my startup, and which I want to actually communicate. Right, that in the first phase of startup, you have to build a playbook, right, and that playbook is to define the four important components of business, which is how do you grow, how do you make margins, how do you optimize your expenses, right, and how do you collect your money, right. So we are in that phase, doing a pilot, or let's say, for example, building that playbook with 275 garages. Bangalore
Yeah,
has around 3,000 garages. According to Just Dial, it has actually around 6,700. But from our estimates, it's around 3,000. So our goal is to get to almost 600 garages by this year end, right? And make a sustainable business, answering all those four questions very, very comprehensive. And what we're also doing is building a very replicatable template. For example, this domain was unorganized. People never use technology. There was no catalog. Catalog is basics of e-commerce. If there is no catalog, then there is no commerce. So we have been able to build some of these layers in last 1.5 years of our operation, right? And we are building a complete end-to-end commerce platform, which will allow any garage to buy parts, which is either in our warehouse or in a manufacturer warehouse, with a seamless access to it. So from an expansion standpoint, right, the catalog has enabled us to hop from one city to another. Today also we have buyers who buy from Delhi and we service them from Bangalore. It has just began in last 1.5 months, which was not the case. इस डोमेन में लोग पार्ट लेके जाते थे एक जेसी रोड या कश्मीरी गेट
yeah,
में.
yeah,
हमने
correct. Yeah.
हमने उसको चेंज कर दिया. हमने उसको बोला कि यार आप अपनी गाड़ी का नंबर डालो और you will get the right part that you're looking at, right? And then you can order as you're ordering on Amazon, right? And I'll deliver it from my warehouse, which is completely secure, and we ensure the genuineness. तो ये standard field commerce जो था उससे it's evolving into e-commerce, and that is a journey that we will showcase in next 7 to 8 9 months before we
Mhm.
scale to other areas.
Wow, this is going to be big, just by closing my eyes and, thinking about this business and how unorganized it is and, the platform that you're talking about and, bringing everybody on the platform. But again, pan India expansion, are you thinking of doing it yourself? Are you thinking of giving franchisee of this business to various
Right.
business owners in the local market so that, you have a footprint over there?
Right.
What is
Right.
that?
So we are trying both these things, right? And in fact, my personal belief is that given the nature of the business, which requires more control, right, on the quality of parts, etc., the PNL today or the margins support a business where I can own the inventory as well, right? At the same time, work directly with manufacturer and enable the inventory because that's the primary cost. Unlike pit stop, which required perpetual capital to invest on branding, growth, customer acquisition. This business doesn't require that. All that is required is efficient working capital management, which is how do you collect, how do you pay, or how much credit do you get from vendors. And third is how much inventory do we keep. So inventory wise is what we are sorting out right now. Our business is, let's say, 30-35% inventory is what we keep. Rest 65% is just in time. So we are experimenting both these models of franchisee as well as our own owning. The P&L supports both. Franchisee will give us rapid expansion, but there is slight fear of losing that control on genuine parts because that's the basis of this industry, right? And we firmly believe that owning the asset gives us the maximum value if the P&L supports it, if the vendor credit, etc., supports it. So that's one thing that we have to sort it out this year, sir.
Yeah, so maybe looking at the US market, and obviously the market is much more mature here. And in our
Right,
last
right,
call,
right,
when we were discussing
right,
about
right, right,
Napa Tools and Pep Boys and all
right,
those
right,
large
right.
companies, they have done the cataloging for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
right now, I have all the new cars, and I generally lease the car. I don't buy it, so
Right,
that I have a new car every 24 months. But prior to that, when I started my journey here in the US back in 1998, I started taking second-hand cars. What is it is called in
right,
India, right? It
right.
was a Mercedes, and you have to take to a German garage to get it fixed, and
Yeah,
I didn't want to go to Fletcher Jones because it was too expensive. There, the labor cost was 275 bucks an hour. Yeah,
right,
and then,
right.
then the parts.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
certainly India will reach there. What you spoke about, the repair guy only makes 20-25K per month. That is going to change because with
right,
more and more of computerized car coming on the road, you need
right.
high skills, specific skills
Absolutely.
to fix it also.
Right,
So there I learned that and franchising model, it is a well established model in the restaurant business.
right,
McDonald's,
right,
they don't
right,
think that a local franchisee is going to buy the bun or the chicken
right,
from
right,
non-approved. So they control that. So If you
Yes.
just invest in the dark warehouse
Right.
and
Right.
resell,
Right.
and
Right.
once you have the data, and if
Right.
you are an engineer yourself from IT, you can figure it out that which are the fast moving product with that category,
Absolutely.
and just store that, and the rest can be couriered from the
Right.
central hub or something like.
Right. Right.
You can control that piece of it. Because the
Absolutely.
two things will happen. One, your expansion into various cities and towns will be much more rapid.
Faster.
One,
Right.
and in the in that phase, you will be creating so many entrepreneurs also.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, people who are willing to pay 10 lakh rupee to get the
Right.
initial franchisee
Franchisee.
and
Right. Right.
set it up. So in that, you are also helping the Indian economy to
Right.
build more, because
Absolutely.
all of us have only 24 hours in the day.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
we work? Yeah, people say
Right.
16 hours, and I'm not 16 hours, and many a times I'm on my desk. But am I working 16 hours? Can my brain sustain 16 hours? And this I
Right.
learned. I was reading an article that at the World Championship of Chess,
Right.
it is a
Right. Right.
very focused game, right?
Yes.
They
Yes.
reduced it to 12 kgs
Okay. Okay.
of weight
Well, fate doing just that. Okay.
just playing chess. And it
Right.
was,
Right.
and
Right.
think of it, the day you work 10, 12 hours, real work,
Right.
you know,
Right.
call after
Right.
call, email after email, going out,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
are dead at the end of the day.
I'm sure.
You
Yes.
don't have, you may go and take a shower and eat the bag. You don't
Right.
have that, okay, now let's go out for dinner. I don't
Right.
know how Prime Minister Modi does it, but I
Absolutely.
find that it is so draining.
Right.
So maybe the franchise model, from where I am seeing, and because
Right.
of
Right. I
the
agree.
local market experience that I have from
Right.
the
Right.
US here in Los
Right. Right.
Angeles. So that could be one model, but
Absolutely.
many of those things can be you will evolve once you have
Right.
the investors who
Right.
invest in automotive type of
Right.
companies,
Right. Right.
in
Right.
that supply chain, and
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
also finding some mentor who is coming from Mahindra and Mahindra, or Tata
Right.
and
Right.
CNC level. And I sent you a message. I may be able to connect you with one guy who was with Telco
Yeah.
when he was CEO of Telco, and then
Okay.
he took retirement from there, and then joined another company in the auto part industry. So check your
Right.
WhatsApp.
Right. Sure.
If you want,
Sure.
these are related, so it would be very easy for me to connect
Absolutely.
you.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But tell me about your team structure. How many people are there in your company right now?
Right.
Are
Right.
you fundraising? If yes, then what are some of the numbers that you want to share, and how we can help you in getting
Sure.
where you want?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I have two other co-founders. One is Krishna Kumar, and second is Shiv. Right. So Krishna Kumar came in from Titan, and he worked in Mahindra Retail. He joined in specifically for Autoverse, and we're looking at a senior supply chain and somebody who has extensive experience. He has almost around 33 years of experience. Comes from a very humble background, and that's where we could probably relate in the business, right? And he also has had startup experiences, right, where we could relate from that perspective. Shiv is the third co-founder. Shiv I have known for last almost 17 years. He was in my first startup. Then he went on. He's also a techie. He went on to work for Indigo Interglobe, right, and then worked there for a couple of years. And then he started a similar business like Pitstop, which was actually hired by Pitstop in 2017. So that's when Shiv again came back, and since then we have been working. So we are a very small three-member team, right, and overall team size is today around 71, right, covering business, operations, logistics, warehousing, tech, product, marketing, and finance. These four areas. We have a core team where we have, apart from the three founders, we have 8-member core team, and they form the backbone of the company. They are the ones who are leading different functions. And we found that we need a team to generally build a business like ours, which is again quite operational from that perspective. At least the first phase was, right. So there are people coming in from different backgrounds, ITIM, there are people from automotive who have been here, people, companies like Go Mechanic or companies like Mahindra. There are two guys who are from there, right? And then there are a couple of freshers that we trusted in Pitstop, and they're leading some of the teams here. So I think So that's the core team, and they're going to be the next leaders of the company. My wife, she also works as part of the core team. She leads the product of Autoverse, building all the apps and the platform, etc. So I think so that's where the team sizes. We are in the market to fundraise. We raised earlier from Xfinity Ventures and Venture East almost 1.5 years back, and that is when we kickstarted Autoverse. Right, so we are again raising with two things in mind: that we have built a catalog, we have showcased that an e-commerce in automotive is possible, which was not the case 1.5 years back. Now we want to expand on two parts. One, integrate backwards, build the private label that we are building, because that is what is attracting more and more margins. It also gives us more capabilities in terms of product, which can be sold and more control. The second is building an aftermarket distribution platform, which allows a lot of high quality brands to come on board and sell to our network of garages. So these are the two activities that we want to undertake before we go in the market for our Series A. And we are raising around 11 crore at this point of time, out of which we have a lead investor in Xfinity, which is putting in 8 crores. And rest of the money is what we're looking at. We do have commitments of around 1.3, 1.4 crore at this point of time. So
Very nice.
1.6 to 1.8 is the gap that we are looking at to raise from.
Right. Yeah, so me, of course, I'll be very interested in, and you have completed your application with us
Yeah,
at the SGC Angels, and I have a travel coming up, so as soon as that ends,
right,
and one of my lead investor is also in India right now.
right, right.
He's coming on, I think he came here yesterday.
Okay,
Today, and then I'm leaving for India on 14th of March,
sure,
and then I'll be coming back on 27th. But, as soon as I come back, we will do a deep dive call with you. Set up
sure, sure.
a group of investors with us, and then I will also introduce you to the Pan IIT group here in the US,
Right,
and
sure.
I know the guy who is running it, and they are, and he has one of his venture is Nurture Venture Fund, and he's a
Okay,
VC here in the local
okay,
market. So
sure, sure,
Daljeet Tripathi
sure.
is his name. He's from UP.
Right,
Uh,
right,
so with those guys, and all the best to you. I think you are on something big. Another thing that you just told me about your wife. So you are all in. Both
we are
of
all in.
you
Yes,
focusing on this company. That is
right,
big.
right,
That
right,
tells
right,
me that how strong the founder feels about
right,
what he or she is building.
right, right. Yes, sir. I mean, that's what I can tell you, that we are all in. And otherwise, there is no way. I mean, we can always lead a life which can be maybe better than how we are right now. But then there's a strong desire to change in ways that we want to see the change. For that, there is only one way, that you have to go all in. Uh, so we are into it for sure.
Mihir, just by listening to you and doing my research on you, I think you are on something very, very big.
Right,
And with the help of investors, with the help of mentors that you have,
right.
if you do it the right way, you are going to leave a legacy. That's
Absolutely, sir.
important,
Thank you so
because
much.
just earning and eating and having a vacation here and there. Well, what is the
Right,
kick
right,
in it?
right,
Nothing.
right, right.
So
Yes,
you
right,
know, once you create the legacy, think of it. The guy who created Naukri.com.
right,
It was
right,
a different product, and now it is changed. Or somebody who created MakeMyTrip.com. So all
right,
those things
right,
are legacy, which is
right,
going to be in the world beyond you.
right, right.
And
Absolutely.
that is what we should strive for. Otherwise, coming from IIT and then India School IIT, and you can have a very, very decent
Right,
life, and without any harms or anything. But that is just
right,
I think that is not what I call
right,
fruitful life.
right,
Right? You
right,
you need to create jobs. You need to be
right,
a producing member of the economy, not just
right,
the eating member of the economy, and
right, right.
should be part of the nation building. And
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
somehow you have landed into something which is which has a big impact.
Right,
For
right.
both the sides, for garages
But
as
I'm
well as the user also, who are the car owners. So all the best to you guys. We will be in touch. Thank you for
absolutely,
your
sir.
time.
Yeah,
Just for my podcast listener, it is 6 a.m. here when I started recording this podcast,
right,
and it's
right,
6:30 p.m. for me
right,
sitting in
right,
Bangalore. on our Wednesday morning. So, it tells a lot that how committed we are towards this podcast, and committed towards this company to give me time. In one of the episodes, after you have done the control and all, I would like to talk to your wife also and your daughter, because
Absolutely. She would love to. Yes.
so please
Yeah.
introduce me to her. And thank you so very much. Truly blessed.
Thank you so much for your kind words, sir. I mean, it is these words which actually motivate people like us to go and work hard more and more. And we are on it, and we are working hard for sure, sir. And
Yeah,
I look, I love this conversation, and uh, this is a journey that we have undertaken, and we have consciously chosen this journey for ourselves with certain things in mind, and we're just playing along. And probably there is only one way to move forward, which is to go all in. That's what
yeah,
we're getting to say.
yeah. Thank you so much, Mahir.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much.